and references and that sort of thing. So we check into that and we look for comparable experience. They have projects that are of similar scale and complexity. And what we'll normally do, if they don't, technically they're a non-responsible bidder, but we'll say they haven't adequately demonstrated their responsibility, so we would declare them non-responsive in that circumstance. Now, there's an appeal process that they have. We notify them 10 days before it goes to council, and they have the opportunity to present additional information about their responsibilities. But if they've submitted a responsive bid, meaning it's administratively responsive, then you look into their responsibilities, and if we do feel like there's a gap there, we have declared them non-responsive. But typically, I'm going to say 8 or 9 out of 10 times we're awarding to the low bidder if they've got a responsive bid.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, flood wall upgrades at Science Museum. This one I'll say has been around for a long time. It's kind of in a holding pattern. So if you're aware of that building right in between the Art Museum and the Science Museum is the Army Corps of Engineers, and that has been in kind of a state of flux. I've heard on various occasions that the port's trying to acquire it and the Corps trying to move out of there. We know there's some deficiencies there with the waterfront, with the bulkheads there, and also the flood wall at the Science Museum. There's another project that is looking at trying to connect some park-like improvements that the port has planned over to the water garden, and I think we're pending a little bit of coordination to get these off the ground. We've selected some designers on that, and we're kind of waiting to get to a point where we're in lockstep with them on what we're going to do on these projects. Okay, this says McGee Beach. It really, we probably need to rename this one. It's the breakwater around the marina. And we did a project with Type A funding that was completed, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, where we had that concrete core wall out there that people walk out and fish from. We don't really call it a fishing pier, because if we did, we'd have to put a whole lot of other things there, you know, handrails, ADA, accessibility, all that kind of stuff. But we don't discourage them, we don't prevent it. We went ahead and raised up that portion. At the time, what triggered that is that concrete core wall was so broken up, it was really hazardous to go out there. But we took advantage of the fact we were doing the project. We made it wider and about a foot taller. But if you can tell from these photographs, we have lost freeboard on the breakwater system over time. So this project is a study to just look at what we need to be doing going forward to keep that breakwater where it needs to be. That was originally built, completed in 1928, and due to settlement and sea level rise, we've lost freeboard, so you've reduced the level of protection that you provide to the marina.
And to be clear for public record, the breakwater serves a pragmatic purpose outside that of impromptu romantic walks in the ocean and fishing.
Absolutely. What it does is it provides wave sheltering to the marina. So it protects your marina, and also adds some additional protection to the downtown as well. So
significant protection for significant investments. I just wanted that laid out clear in the public
absolutely.
record.
Yeah, no, it's not just to walk out on. It's the purpose is to, and if you look at the aerial photos, you look on Google or something, you can see that it's dramatically calmer on the inside than on the outside. And if you've ever been out there on a boat, when you cross outside the breakwater, you've got much rougher seas. So we've selected HDR on this, and we've got to take the contract to council and award to get that started. Seawall capital repairs, this is kind of a placeholder. It's a recurring amount of funding we've been setting aside from the seawall fund to address ongoing depreciation of the seawall. So the last round of these was completed in 22, and we did from one end to the other, addressing concrete spalls and joint problems and cracks and so forth. So that seems to have held up pretty good. This is for the next round of that. And we selected a consultant that kind of does a lot of investigation work and specializes in that. So we're kind of in the scoping and negotiation phase. We've got to bring a contract to council for that. And so the plan would be for them to do the investigation, see if there's any unseen issues there that need to be addressed, and put out a construction contract for that work. This is the other one I mentioned, and this was the original concept was to try and connect from some park-like facilities that or amenities that the port is contemplating there around to the water garden, and potentially using the walkways back behind the Science Museum that used to be around the Columbus ships when they were back there. That funding was delayed. It's not available until 2026. And again, this is one where I think we've got to be sure that we're technically feasible on that. I think the main objective was if they're going to put those amenities there, to try and provide some connectivity over to the water garden. Okay, the City Terrace project, the construction part of this was completed last year. There was some furniture and artwork that's on order and hasn't arrived yet. That's expected in April, and then that project will be complete.
Do we, similarly to other projects, have a comparison of current spend to allocated budget for this?
We can certainly provide that.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Okay, arena deferred life safety improvements, and there's a whole handful of these projects for the arena. We've got a designer selected on that, Hanson, which is a local firm, and we're currently in scoping and negotiation on that one, and once we get the contract, we'll have to go to council to award. This is the ongoing project that you've been seeing construction around there. This is making site and landscaping improvements. Barcom is the contractor on that, and we're projecting completion in February. I might add, since we're talking about irrigation, we do have a plan to utilize treated wastewater on that, irrigating these plantings based on the current drought situation.
Have any changes been made to the landscaping plan to more drought tolerant?
Yeah, they are. The drought tolerant, more native type plants.
Okay.
There'll be a lot of desert type plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, the arena HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning improvements. It came to light, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, that the arena had been running off of one chiller, and they'd been cannibalizing the other chiller for parts to keep the functioning one going. And we felt like that was just a high-risk situation. Getting those chillers is a long lead item, so we pre-purchased the chiller and other long lead equipment. Those orders were placed like a year ago. All of that is available. Now we've advertised and bid the construction to install all of that. We've got a low bid that we're going to be taking to City Council on that in next month.
So just, because there's quite a difference between the budget and the construction contract is just for the installation of the chiller that we purchased separately?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that's part of the big delta there. That project should be complete by September 2025. Okay, there is a project planned to upgrade the fire alarm system. It's got a $1 million budget. We're in discussions with a fire alarm consultant on that. So is that a contract that has to go to council, or? It's not an MSA? Okay, yeah. And then once we reach agreement, we'll be taking that contract to council. I'll make an introduction there. The lifeline I'm calling in, that's Rata Potamuthu, who is Assistant Director in Engineering. She's responsible for getting all these projects from concept to contract award by City Council. Okay, this is another one that's still in design negotiations to do some rehab and improvement in the arena, second-story restrooms. It looks like multiple dogs and cats that we're bundling into a project there. Roof replacements, 87,000 square feet of roof that need some attention, and we're working with Hanson on that, and we're hoping to take that engineering contract next month to City Council. Arena Spotlight, this was a $500,000 contract. It's underway. We're anticipating completion in March of this year. Okay, this one, let me explain a little bit of this. Some of you may be aware of this, but I'm sure some of the new people don't realize. We've got a central cooling plant at the convention center that also cools the Art Museum, Science and History Museum, and the Harbor Playhouse. And part of that, there used to be a ground storage tank over there that said Sea District. We took that away. That used to store chilled water from the system. We are trying to get off of that system because it's very dated in all those facilities, and the underground piping is equally dated and has problems. So we've been working for years to try and make those independent. And this is part of it to not only make that independent, there's some other improvements inside of the art museum that need to be done. And that's why we're working with an architect on that. But this will take that off of the convention center cooling. Harbor Playhouse. This is just an exterior improvements project. There was some funding made available to deal with some drainage issues and just exterior deficiencies there. And so we're designing a project to utilize those available funds to address deficiencies. Now this is the heating ventilation separation project for the Harbor Playhouse. We've got a group of, we call them master service agreements that are kind of on-call task order contracts with architects and engineers, and we've got a big group of those going to council next month. And this will be done under one of those contracts with Bath Engineering. All right, this is a similar exterior improvement project at the Science and History Museum. Turner Ramirez Architects is working on this and helping us to scope the improvements to fit within the available funds. And this is the project to separate the cooling from the convention center. Again, Bath Engineering will be helping us with this. There'll be a standalone chiller that'll be put at the building, and we'll be able to start work on that design once we get the MSA contract approved by council. Okay, whew, I didn't think my voice was going to get me to the end of it. I stand ready for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Edmonds.
Thank you.
If the board would recall, last meeting, I asked staff to come back and kind of walk us through, with the passage of the proposition that affects the Type B funding expansion, how all that was going to work and the timing of it. Who's going to present? Arturo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Arturo Marquez, Director of Economic Development. And yes, most definitely. So this next presentation, really that's what it is, and all it is, just a presentation to give you guys an update of what's happening, what happened, and where we're going afterwards. So this is just the reauthorization, which of course took place in the last election. And here you guys do oversee two Type A 1/8 cents, and we'll just kind of run through it to see which one means what and what's going to happen to each one of these in the upcoming 2 years. So you do have two breakdowns, two Type A's. One is for the American Bank Center Arena, while the other one is for the seawall, both of which were passed in the November 2000 election for 1/8 cents. However, the American Bank Center Arena expires September of this year, while the seawall one actually expires of March of next year. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Now, the American Bank Center Arena was used for the construction of the arena itself, any capital projects, as you guys have just seen in the presentation, along with the operational needs. While the seawall was used towards the improvements of the downtown seawall, again, also with some capital projects and some operational needs. So we'll go ahead and get started with the American Bank Center Arena, what's going to happen to it, and how is it going to change. So during the election, 54% of the voters voted yes for it, and what it does is it repurposes it into two different purposes. Now, this will come into effect in October 1st of this year, and that's when that transition will happen. It'll go from a Type A to a Type B, and the purposes are going to be, one, the arterial and collector streets, while the second purpose is going to be recreational and community facilities within the C District, again, which is a portion of the presentation that you just previously saw. Now, this 1/8 cent is expected to collect roughly about $200 million in the 20-year span, and this one, this proposition E, specifically dictates that 50% of the collected revenues will go towards Purpose 1, and 50% will go towards Purpose 2. I'll explain how that differs from the other one in just a bit. So Purpose 1, and I just want to preface this slide with the fact that these were just identified as priority, but does not necessarily limit to these projects. These are just the ones that we, as a city, noticed that needed the most immediate attention. So for Purpose number 1, the arterial and collector streets, it does include Lower Broadway, from Cooper's Alleyway to Twig Street, Yorktown Boulevard, Sam Rankin Street, Alameda Street, from Texas Trails to Doddridge Street. Now, for Purpose number 2, the facilities that it includes is, of course, the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History, the Art Museum of South Texas, the Texas State Museum of Asian Cultures, the Harbor Playhouse, the Water Garden, and in the ABC complex, it does include all three facilities, which is the arena, the auditorium, and the convention center. Now, for Proposition F, this was approved by 60% of the voters. Again, this one initiates in April 1st of 2026. The transition, that's when it occurs. And also, it has two purposes. Now, this one does not necessarily allocate 50 and 50 like the other one. This is simply just the purposes that are being approved for the use of these funds. One of them is the downtown seawall, and the second one is the citywide flood control and drainage projects. Again, similar to the other one, this is also a 20-year allocation, which is expected to collect roughly about $200 million. Okay. Again, same thing as last time. These are just the identified immediate needs, not necessarily limited to. On the Purpose 1, the downtown seawall, it does include the structures of the primary seawall structure, the breakwater, the salt flat levee, the T and L head landmasses, the flood control pumps. And for Purpose number 2, the citywide stormwater, it does include FM 624, Turkey Creek, Clarkwood Ditch, North Beach Linear Canal Phase 2, Corpus Christi Bay, the Oso Creek Channel, and the coastal resiliency and other drainage projects that are included on here. Yes, ma'am?
Those are the projects identified for Purpose 2, but it is not exclusive to those projects the same way those categories are exclusive to Purpose 1, correct?
Correct, yeah. Yes.
So there may be other coastal resiliency or flood control projects that take precedent over those currently listed, whereas in Purpose 1, all of those are the definition of Purpose 1.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, just want to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, of course, this was another question that was brought up. So what happens to the funds if there's any excess funds? So any ongoing projects will be completed with the existing Type A allocation, and the funds must be used for the original intended purposes. However, if there are any funds remaining, those can be reallocated to Type B once that transition happens. Now, again, this is just to kind of give you guys some dates as to when those from Type A to Type B transitions are going to occur. Again, one of them, they're kind of staggered. One of them is going to occur this year, while the other one is going to happen next year. But again, just to kind of give you guys a breakdown. And of course, we'll be giving you guys updates, just like I did most recently before this presentation, about how these projects are ongoing. So.
Thank you, Arturo. That was helpful to me.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
We had a project that came before us. It had a state match, but it was for the coastal resiliency of the pocket parks. So would that have been able to be funded through this program?
Ooh, okay, can you please give me a little bit more
Do we
information?
remember? I can't remember.
The recent project the erosion.
Control, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Heather Holbert, Assistant City Manager. So yes, that was, so what the board approved was for basically the design and the feasibility study. And I think we mentioned during the discussion and the presentation that there will be a construction aspect to this. And so yes, it would be eligible to use the sales tax as reauthorized by the voters.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So October of '26, we will be able to be one committee then, or is that the right timeline?
Yes, essentially, yeah.
Kind
Combine it
of
into
close to there?
one single corporation, yeah.
So instead of 2 meetings, we'll have 1.
Correct, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right, you're right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, April of 26 is when everything can combine, yes. April 1st of 2026, yes, is when it takes effect.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very much. Mr. Zanoni, do you have a report?
No report today.
All right. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.